And thank you guys. Thank you for having me. This is a wonderful topic we're going to be discussing today. But before I jump into that, I do want to say over to the right-hand side, there is a general tab where you can actually type in some questions that you have as we're going through the presentation, or just some comments as well. That's where you can place those there. And just to get things started, we do have a poll that we want to do. We want to ask you just some questions about your current ad spend. So I believe those will be triggered in just a moment. And if you can just interact with that and answer some of those questions for us. But I will go ahead and get started now. So guys, really, I've been doing this for quite some time. And just like Karen said, a couple years ago, I tried to give as much information as I could about PPC. And I hate to say it, but a lot has changed. A lot has changed even in the past year, the past 6 months. Amazon is continuously growing out their platform. So it's getting more and more intricate and more advanced, but in a good way. So it's good to have all these extra tools and features coming down the pipeline. But today, I want to start off by how you can avoid some of the pitfalls of Amazon PPC advertising. I've seen them. We've been responsible for some of them in the past. We learned from those back, 2 or 3 years ago. We didn't really know what the best way to do a structure was. Now we do, because you have to go through trials and see the errors that you get from that before you can learn what the best way to do things are. So, what to expect today? First, just some common mistakes that we see in advertising. I have a whole team that I actually work with for our managed services team, where we actually run PPC advertising for Amazon sellers. We step in and do it for them, so they don't have to worry about it. And I want to talk about some of the common mistakes that we see in the advertising that we're running for people. And then next, we're going to discuss how software may not always be the answer. It can always be a part of it. We love our software. We love our tool Ignite. We use it on a daily basis to help manage our clients' PPC. And it does a great amount of work for us. It's really wonderful. But it may not always be the right answer for some people. And because of that, we're also going to talk about when you should ask for professional help. When you should really step up and say, hey, I can't do this by myself. Even with a tool, I need professional help and I need a team. And then I'm going to tell you how you can really know what's right for you. I'll tell you how you can differentiate between the software path or the managed services path, or maybe a hybrid of both of those as well. So first, one of my favorites, I've done quite a lot of presentations actually about common mistakes because there's so many. So I chose just a few for today, and these are some of the ones that I see constantly, whether it's clients that come to us and they've been running their PPC for years, or they just don't really know what's going on because they don't have the time to understand PPC like we do. So the first one, this is a huge stickler for me, is poor campaign structure. Simply put, you can't have an awesome advertising run on Amazon without a great structure behind it. So this means a lot of times that the campaigns are not built for future growth. They're not developed in such a way where you can add more products to them, or you can understand where the products are advertised, and you just get kind of lost and confused by how it's structured. What's in this ad group? What's in this campaign? Where's that keyword I just put in there? If you don't have a good structure, you can't succeed. And this means a lot of times it may be hard to know even where a product is being advertised within a set of campaigns. There's no way to optimize your campaigns if you don't know exactly where this product is advertised or where this keyword should be placed. So you have to have a good structure that you understand, that you spent time on, and you've made to scale. And if you don't have this, honestly, guys, optimizations take longer. You have to track down places. You have to look for these ad groups. You have to find out where this product is so I can put this successful search term in there as a keyword. It's just you have to have a good map before you can dive in and find out where things are supposed to go. And also think about other people. If you have other people on your team, if it's not just you doing PPC, set your campaigns up so they're easy to understand so someone can jump in there and see exactly where things are supposed to go. So really, build campaigns that scale. Don't think about just for now. Think about the future when you're making your campaigns. And this means simply save room for any future products you may have so you can just add them to campaigns instead of having thousands and thousands of campaigns that you just have to sift through. It's really hard if you do it that way. So build campaigns that scale and don't build them just for the now. Think about the future. Another one, This is something I see a lot of. We have a lot of people that come to us and their campaigns are running amok and their ACoS is so high. And it's because they're not checking their campaigns. And there's different types of not checking. It's, the first one, of course, is just leaving campaigns on cruise control, which is where you set up your campaigns, you run them, and you kind of hope for the best. You don't go in there and optimize them. You're not looking for ways to cut wasted ad spend. You're not looking for winning keywords. You're not doing any of that. You're just letting it run, and the budget may be running amok, and you're just spending, and you're just not converting well, but you don't know because you're not checking them. That's one way of not checking campaigns. The second is being inconsistent about optimizations. Never go in and do optimizations one week and then wait another month or two to do them again. That's inconsistent. You can gain a lot of data in just a few days. Even the process that we do here at Solar Labs for our clients, we're optimizing campaigns every week because new data is coming through every day. So all of our client accounts are getting optimized 3 to 5 times a week. And it's working great because we're being consistent. We're staying on a schedule. And another one that really bothers me, it's kind of sad to see, honestly, is when a campaign is doing poorly, then you decide to optimize. That's not really good. You don't want to just run okay until there's a fire. You want to continually optimize these campaigns and make them better. Look at the optimization as ways to get more traffic and double down on what's working, while also cutting out what's not working. So not checking campaigns can mean a lot of things. So these are the 3 ones, leaving them on cruise control, not checking them every so often, no set schedule or anything, and only jumping in when there's a fire. That's just not a good way to optimize your campaigns. So simply put, set a schedule. This is exactly what we do. We actually have it in our calendars for our account coordinators who do the optimizations to check the campaigns for certain tasks throughout the week, and they stick to it. If they can't make it one day, they'll do it the next day because they know if they miss it, things can go crazy. So you have to set that schedule inside your calendar or make a note of it or just know what you're going to do on each day to make sure that every optimization is scheduled. You don't have to do them all in one day. You can have it to where on Mondays you're going to do bid adjustments. And then on Wednesdays, you're looking for keywords to negate. And then on Thursday, you're looking for keywords to move over from auto to manual. And then maybe there's a day where you just check budgets and see how they're performing. But set a schedule. Make sure you have everything blocked out so you know when you're going to do what task on your campaigns. Now, the next one is bidding inefficiently. We actually see this a lot, to be honest. And this is fine because if you're not optimizing regularly, you're not bidding efficiently because you're not paying attention to the data. You're not digging in to see what's working. You're not doubling down on what is working, So the first part of this is keeping your bids so low that you're not getting any traffic. You're not getting any impressions at all. And this happens because people are scared to spend money. And it's not necessarily you're going to spend a lot of money, but sometimes you can't just win impressions and get clicks on a 5-cent bid. If a category is more competitive, you may have to raise your bids. If you see something that has less than 1,000 impressions, you may need to double down and get some more money behind those clicks to get better placement and hopefully more eyes on it that will convert and that will give you sales. And people also bid too high a lot of times. They may see some keywords that they want to rank for. They're very, very adamant about having placement for those keywords, and they spend way too much, and they don't have any data behind it to say that it's okay to do that. So that means they're just putting in a $10 bid because they like this keyword, but it's doing terrible and has a really ridiculous ACoS. That's not justified. Really increase the bids on the keywords that are working well and are converting very well for you. Now, of course, if you have branded keywords, this is a different story. If you want to protect your brand sometimes, a lot of our clients will say, I don't care how much you're spending, we want to show up for our brand when it's searched on Amazon. That's understandable. And kind of playing into that is, people will just bid whatever they feel is right. They just say, well, you know what, this one seems like we can be about $5 for that one, and maybe we'll do $2 for this one to see where it goes. Look at the suggested bids, look at the average cost per click, gain some data, and adjust your bids accordingly. See what you're currently spending on those keywords before you do any optimizations there. See if you need to go up or down. And simply put, Follow the data, guys. That's pretty much our catchphrase around here. We follow the data. If your keyword is working, it's okay to spend more on it because it's working well and it may be below your target ACoS. If the keyword is leading to a higher ACoS than what you want, lower the spend or pause it. Of course, there's negations as well, but those are terms that shouldn't really be in your campaigns to begin with. But simply put, guys, follow the data and understand what's working and what's not working, and take the right course of action to make your campaigns more profitable. And I say this, a lot of what we just talked about, we do a lot of that in Ignite. I'm a huge fan of Ignite, been a fan of it since it first came out, and now it's even more powerful, and it looks really awesome now too. It looks really beautiful, just saying. But software may not always be the answer. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Like, I still think everybody can use Ignite, but we want to make sure you're using the tool that's right for you. So like I said, Ignite is a very powerful tool. It saves us a lot of time. It gives us a lot of extra reporting. It gives us ease of use when doing things in bulk. But you can only get the most out of Ignite if you set your campaigns up correctly. So just like I said before, if you're going through and just kind of throwing campaigns together, Ignite's going to have trouble helping you out. The suggestions may be a little weird because it's trying to pull data, but you have 7 different campaigns for the same product, and all the data is split between those. So make sure you build a strategy that scales, because organization is everything when using a software to manage your ads. If you don't understand where things are inside your campaigns, how can Ignite know? And how can you go through and accept suggestions that are telling you to do optimizations if you're not even sure what product they're talking about? So you have to know where each product is advertised. You want to have it cleanly set up, have every ad group set up correctly, know where the spend is going, and look at it to understand, okay, this one's doing well, this one's not doing well. I should focus on some suggestions for that one, or I should double down on this one, or I should use Ignite to dig into this campaign because I know the products in here are not converting. And if you're using Ignite, you do need to understand ads to a certain degree. And that's simply because Ignite does help you learn more about ads. It does. It definitely helped me a lot to understand some of the metrics and what to focus on. But it really helps your ad management, but you still have to understand how the ads themselves work. You have to understand about the placement and the bids and really just kind of the flow of the optimization process that you need to go through to be successful and cut out wasted ad spend. And always, guys, know what your goals are and know what needs improvement. If you go into Ignite and you don't know what your target ACoS is or how much you want to spend on a monthly basis, Ignite will still work, but it won't really know what you're working towards. So you have to keep that in mind. You have to find out what your target ACoS is, whether it's for your account level or for a particular product. And then you can actually tell Ignite that. That can help you optimize towards that goal. So that's Ignite. Like I said, powerful tool, incredible. I love it. We use it every day. Everyone here is always in it. You can walk into the office and see them in there doing bulk, keyword adjustments all the time. But everybody should know when you should ask for professional help, because Ignite is a great tool, but sometimes you may need more than that. You may need the extra step because that's just not going to cut it for you. So the first reason you may need professional help is when your time needs to be spent somewhere else. A lot of our clients come to us and they're building a brand. They have, a lot of time set up to get brand registry, to monitor the inventory, to understand what new products they want to roll out, to look at their logistics. They have a lot going on. So a lot of times you need to spend time somewhere else besides PPC, and that's completely fine. People come to us and they say, I just want this to be off my plate because I need to focus on my business and other areas more for the time being. But also, you may just need a better understanding. You may have the basic understanding of PPC and you've been using Ignite to some degree, but you sit back sometimes and you think, I don't know what I'm looking at. What do these numbers mean? Why do they matter? And that's what managed services can help you out with. We have custom reporting that we build out for every client every 2 weeks that breaks down their metrics on a 2-week by 2-week basis. And we have calls with our clients to explain how the metrics are changing over time, what that means, and what the focus should be going forward. But also what we did to help achieve these metrics. So if you need extra understanding about PPC, we can step in and explain your account to you, explain your metrics, and explain why that may be good or bad. And that's completely fine. Never be embarrassed to ask that. You can't learn unless you ask. And honestly, if you just need expert help, if you tried this over and over and over again, you tried to build new campaigns, you've gone through, you've done some optimization, but your ACoS is still way too high, or you just can't really understand what's going on, that's when we can come in. We have a lot of clients that come to us with an extremely high ACoS. For instance, their ACoS is 100%, and their target is, let's just say, 20. And immediately, we dive in, we find out where that wasted ad spend is that's causing that incredibly high ACoS, and we cut it out. And we explain that to them. What we did is this, and here's what the results are from them. So this can be kind of when you're starting to get really frustrated, or you're seeing red lights because you're just really upset that you can't get this down. You don't understand what's going on. Bring in the experts to help you out with that. We've been doing this for a long time, and this is what we do on a day-to-day basis. So we're here to help you out with that. But then, of course, this is another reason. If you just want to learn more, if you want someone that is up to date on all the new features of advertising, you want to try those out, you want someone to kind of help you understand what we're doing with your PPC so you can keep that knowledge later on. Like maybe you want to come in and have us help you with your account for 3 months or 4 months, then you want to step in and take back over, that's completely an option. Because then that way, you can kind of learn what we did, you can see how we structured your campaigns, what our optimization cadence was possibly, and you can see from our notes what we've been doing with your account, and we speak about it every 2 weeks. There's also continual email communication as well too. And then once you learn that, then we can pass it back to you, and you can continue on from there to do the optimizations and everything yourself. And I can take a quick question really fast. There's a question that said, will Edward show an example of how to correctly set up a campaign structure? I don't have that in here, but I think we do have another webinar that does explain that we can possibly send over that way. So we can definitely do that for you. And I'll come back to some other questions in just a moment as well. So, when you may need managed services, but honestly, a lot of people ask, how can managed services help? And this is a truthful question. A lot of people know that we do the PPC, but what does that mean for me? That wasn't supposed to rhyme, but it did. So what is the point of having managed services, really? First thing is, guys, it's a dedicated team that's working for you. It's not just one person. It's actually 3 people on your account with the opportunity for up to 14 people to be working on your account at a time. So you have a dedicated account director, which is someone like myself or my colleague Brett, who helps with the strategy and the onboarding process. And then, of course, extra help throughout the time that you're with us. Then you have an account manager, who is your point of contact, who actually does the calls with you every 2 weeks, who's there to answer any questions that you have, who's there to be transparent with you and say, hey, this is a problem, but here's how we're going to fix it. Or, hey, this is working great, and we're very excited about this. Then you have your account coordinator, who is the one behind the scenes, really, working on your account all the time. Like I said, 4 to 5 times a week, these accounts are getting worked on. They're getting optimized. So those are the ones that are really doing the heavy lifting a lot of times. So we all work together to make sure that your account is taken care of. We have the awesome account manager, who is incredible to speaking to all the metrics, who helps you understand your account and also does optimizations on your account as well. The account coordinator, who is heads down doing optimization. And then the account director, who is there to help out with the strategy and the high-end tasks, the ones that are really hard to get to or need some extra help. And like I said, when I say transparent, it's really all about open communication. We have the scheduled calls to review your account progress, as well as open communication outside of those regular performance reviews. So this is, if you have an issue that comes up, you can shoot us an email. We can discuss that. If you need to have an extra call outside of our normal schedule, we can schedule one of those too. If there's something bad that's going on, like if there's a fire that's happening, we'll jump on a call with you and discuss it. We'll talk about our plans going forward. And on those calls that seem to be a fire, you'll have the whole team there ready to help you out. And we'll be transparent. We'll tell you, hey, We don't know if we can do this because of this, or we got this because this is set out and here's what we're going to do for you. And like I said, guys, advanced custom reporting. So with the custom reports that we do every 2 weeks that illustrate your account and how it's performing, we go deep. We actually use a combination of Ignite and Seller Central to pull these metrics to show you how your account's been doing 2 weeks over 2 weeks. So you can see how your ACoS is trending, how your spend is trending. And then on top of that, we look at your organic revenue too. So we can compare your advertising revenue to your organic. So we're not just looking at just advertising, we're taking a step back to look at your account as a whole. And during these calls, we don't just talk about the report. We leave this open for time to talk with you and discuss with you what your concerns are, what your focus is, how things been going with you, how has your business been doing outside of advertising. That way we're always on the same page about your account. And honestly, guys, like I said, expert advice and strategy. We are, I think some of the best, but I'm a little biased just because I love my team, but we're really industry leading experts. And we utilize all of our experiences to give you all the solutions that you need for your PPC challenges. We've worked with a lot of clients. We have a lot of expertise. We know how one thing may work with your account. If it doesn't work out because of a certain category you're in, we know of another way to get around that. And our strategy as well. We've built out so many strategies for all these different types of clients. We know what works best for you. Or if it doesn't work out, we can re-strategize extremely fast and get something else running instead. So a lot of you may wonder, what's right for you? You see that there's software, you see that there's managed services, but you don't know what's going to be the best option for you. So I want to make this as simple as possible because they both are great options. Software approach. If you're using Ignite, for instance, you have a good understanding of PPC and advertising. And I say good doesn't have to be great. You don't have to be an expert, but you understand PPC, you understand the terminology, you understand the different approaches that you can use for advertising. And that allows you to really dive into Ignite with an open mind to know, I know what this means, but this tool makes it better for me. For instance, the reporting. It pulls in a longer period of time for data inside of Ignite than it does in Seller Central. So you have more data you can look back at going forward. It pulls in the past 2 months and saves it going forward. And that's huge because then you have a longer amount of data that you can see what's been working for you over time or what the trends are over time for your account. So having a good understanding helps you to use Ignite to its fullest potential. And if you want better reporting and data, just like I said, you can make some really awesome reports like we do. We use Ignite data to pull that in because we can do a month-over-month comparison if we want to see how the trend has been over time. And if we have a client that's been using it for a year or so, all that data is stored inside of Ignite. So we can look back last year and see how it's performing and compare to how it's performing right now. That's a huge benefit of Ignite. And then if you just want more help when it comes to making decisions, Ignite analyzes your data and gives you suggestions for changes for you to make. And you can review them, see what the suggestion is, and you can approve it or you can deny it if you want to. And that itself can teach you more about PPC. You can see that it's suggesting that you should lower the bid on this one because your target ACoS is this. And you're like, oh, that makes sense. I want to approve that one. So it's like having someone there to give you a little extra push to help out with your PPC. And you can just go through the suggestions, but you can also make a lot of those manual adjustments with so much ease. Like you can select 10 different keywords and up the bid by 10%, just extremely fast. And it's really wonderful to have that inside of Ignite. But now the managed services approach. This is if you want PPC off your plate. You don't want to deal with it, you don't have the time for it, or you just rather spend your time somewhere else, which is fine, guys. That is completely fine. And you really need someone to help you understand your data because you look at it, it looks foreign, it's a bunch of numbers, you don't know what this means or why you need this or why this should be like that. You need someone to help you understand that and to explain that to you. And then also, if you just want to use your time to grow your brand, guys, we know building a brand it's hard. It takes a lot of work, but we're here to help you out in that process. We are an extension of your team. We're part of your team. So we can do the advertising portion so you can focus on building your brand. We can even help you build your brand doing sponsored brand ads, or looking into your listing to make some suggestions sometimes to see if you can get better traction and better sessions, because certain little changes can give you better conversion rates. So this is really when you want to have a full team to help you out, when you don't want to fill alone on it anymore, or you just need that extra push. And I do want to say, if you're unsure of which solution is right for you, then simply ask us and we can find the best fit for you. If you come to us and you want to talk to us about managed services and we find out that it's not a good fit, we'll suggest Ignite instead. Or if you come to us for Ignite and you try it out and it's just not working out for you because you still don't understand what's going on, then instead it may be best to go to managed services. So I do want to say, you can learn more about our tools by simply going to SellerLabs.com in general. But if you want to talk with someone about managed services, you can go to this link. It's calendly.com/SellerLabs. That'll actually help you get in touch with someone to talk about our managed services option. And if you want to learn more about Ignite, you can go to SellerLabs.com/Ignite. There is also a tab on there for our services, just on SellerLabs.com. You can go to the services tab and you can get onto the PPC management one, and you can learn more about it. So if you want to learn more about it before you talk to someone, that's completely fine too. But talk to us, and we'll find out what the best fit is for you. If it's going to be software, that's perfectly fine. If you want more than that, then check out managed services. So we got some questions coming in. Let's see if I can go back through some of these. So someone said that they ran an auto campaign for their PPC, and they found more than 100 of converted search terms. And they moved those over to the manual campaigns, but found out only part of them worked. A lot of the search terms which are working in auto campaign are not working in the manual. What is the problem and how can I fix that? So we would have to dive into this and see what's going on. If they're not working because they're not getting traction, the bids may just be too low, for instance. And if the bid's too low, you're not getting placement. People aren't seeing your ads for those particular keywords that you harvested from your auto targeting campaigns. That's normally the case. If they're not converting in the manual, it could just be because of the placement possibly. Auto targeting campaigns can give you that placement like on a listing or on the thank you page or on the add to cart page. You may just convert better there. So there's a lot that I have to look into for that question. Unfortunately, there's not really a straight answer there. But if you're just not getting impressions or you're getting very low impressions, it would more than likely be because of the bids, and you may need to increase those so you get better placement, which can also lead to better conversions too. So someone said, they asked, how can you scale a campaign and add products when different products have unique keywords? So what we actually do now for a lot of our clients, we will have campaigns that have different types of products inside of them, but they're broken out at the ad group level. So for instance, I may have 2 different types of a water bottle, but they're 2 different listings. And I put them inside of a campaign and have them both in their own ad group. This allows me to actually see what data is coming through for this particular variations at the ad group level. And I have an auto set up like that, then a manual set up like that. That's mirrored the same way. 1 campaign, 2 ad groups, 1 ad group for each variation. And I can harvest those terms that are working well in the auto targeting campaign and move them to that manual targeting campaign. Because just like I said, I know where the products are advertised, what campaigns they're in, and also what ad group they're in, so I can move from one to the other. And then as time goes on, when I add a new product, it can be in a new ad group, or I can make a new campaign for that product as well. It is very, very different from the other ones that I have. But as long as you're looking at the ad group level, that's where you can follow the data and see what's working for an individual SKU if you want to. Someone asked, how many terms should you put in a campaign group? So whenever you're adding keywords, there's no limit, guys. But I still say there's no need to add hundreds or thousands at the same time, because it does make it harder to optimize that down the road, because there's so much data coming in at the same time. And if you're just kind of guessing on the keywords that you want to add, it's going to be a lot of wasted ad spend really fast. So we will, where we're re-optimizing someone's account that comes to us, we will harvest some existing keywords that were working for the previous campaigns they had running before us, but only if they've been converting really well and they have a good follow through. People are clicking on them, they're engaging with them, and then they're buying the product because of that keyword. So we'll put some of those over to our new campaigns. But then we're constantly using the auto targeting campaign to find search terms that are doing well, that are doing the best, and we convert this into keywords instead. So we're constantly using our auto-targeting campaign to research and find new opportunities of terms that we can then make into keywords for a campaign. And this way we know that it's worked, we've seen the data, we've seen it's converting, and we can move it over to the manual targeting campaign instead. So I'm going to summarize this. Someone asked if they have a product that they made and they want to use keywords, but they're forced to use keywords because or else their A cost gets really high. Is there any way to bring in new keywords to the attention of customers? You can't really force someone to buy a product by a keyword. Amazon does look at the keywords that you're bidding on, and they see if you're relevant for those or not. If you don't have those in your listing or you've never converted for it before, you may not get much traction for it, or you may get very little traction and people just see that it's not what they want, and then they don't convert on it. So you can always optimize your listing, include some of those terms in your back end, and make sure you are indexing for some of those keywords, and that can give you some new traffic. Then if you put those into your PPC campaign, you're more likely to get traffic as Amazon sees it in your listing. But if you're not converting for it, guys, you're still going to probably come out with a higher ACoS. And that may just be because the people that are searching for that term may not want your product or something like that. But I'd still say at the listing level, that's the best place where you can optimize to make sure you're showing up for particular keywords and you're indexing for them through Amazon.
Ed, I want to see if maybe I have a different take on this, and perhaps I'm misunderstanding what the question is, but it seems like he's asking, or she is asking, if there's a way to get shoppers on Amazon to type in the keywords that they want them to type in. We've had this happen some before with other clients where they're like, these keywords really don't describe what our product is because it's a very unusual product that doesn't have a whole lot of competition. It's new to the market. And unfortunately, you have to start off with keywords that are as close to your product as possible, because the only thing you have to choose from are keywords that actual people are typing into Amazon already. But to train them, you can take more of an educational approach to your copy so that you're including the keywords you want them to use in the future when they describe your products to others and things of that nature. And then it's just a matter of time. You have to educate them and train them so that when they talk about it to other people, they're calling it XYZ instead of ABC, and eventually they will begin searching on those terms. But it can be frustrating at first to try to describe something that never existed before with terms that people are currently typing in. So it's a process, but it can be done, but it takes a little time.
That's a really good take on that, to put it in the listing itself, like in the description or the bullet points, so then when they see it, they start to relate that product with that keyword. And that's how that is beautiful.
Sometimes it's just as blunt as, if I'm looking at a plastic cup now, and maybe it's some brand new, unique, different version of a plastic cup, and it's, cup version 2 or whatever. And, if you're calling it in the copy, while most people used to shop for cup version 1, now they're specifically talking to their friends about, the new and improved, whatever the name is that you're going to call it. And people are going, oh, that's what it's called. Okay. So it takes a little education, but it can be done.
That's awesome. I like that. I might actually talk to my team about that right now. Awesome. Looks like we got another question. Someone asked if we have a minimum daily, monthly ad budget from a seller to work with, and do we charge based on per ASIN or per brand? We don't really have much of a minimum. Like we work with people that have really 2,000 to 500,000. There's very large clients, very small clients. It'd be best to actually kind of take a look and do an assessment of your ads possibly beforehand with something that our team can help you out with. But we'd be glad to talk with you and see if we're a good fit, depending on what you're currently doing. And we don't charge based on ASIN or brand necessarily. It is based on your monthly ad spend. So for instance, like the first tier can be up to $5,000 in ad spend. And then there's different tiers above that as well. So there's different tiers you can fall into, but that gives you room to grow. And that allows you to really grow your brand and build up your ad spend before you hit the next tier. So that allows you to get more time in there. But definitely reach out to us to answer more questions about that. We can actually take a look at what you're currently doing. If there are multiple brands, they may have to be separate just because they are going to be two different optimization processes for those. So that may be different. But if they're in the same Seller Central, sometimes it's just you can just do it under one service for us. But definitely reach out to us. We can answer those questions, and most of those are going to be one-off questions that we can answer for you. But we'd be glad to talk to you about that more in depth. And I think now, was there another poll? I think as well. Yeah. So I mean, like really honestly, if you're interested in looking at your campaigns to help us assess what's going on with them, you can actually follow through the questions that are going to be posted as well in the chat. This is something that we do for a lot of our clients to kind of see where you currently sit, so we can kind of give you some feedback on what's going on and see if you're a good fit for our service. Definitely, we're always looking for new people to work with, looking to help brands grow. And if we're not what you need, then honestly, Ignite is going to be an incredible tool for you. Whether you've been doing this for a month or 10 months or 5 years, you can still gain a lot from Ignite, and you can definitely gain a heck of a lot from our services too that we can help you out with.
So for everybody that's on the call, I'm interested, and I know that a poll has just gone up, and please take a minute or two to do that. But I'm interested to know, just for my own curiosity, where do you stand now? When you came on the webinar, Ed talked, Edward. Do you prefer Ed or Edward?
Whatever gets my attention. I'll be honest with you.
Hey, you.
that works.
That guy in the video was talking about mistakes that people make that mess up accounts and things like that, and how to go about finding solutions for those. Is that where you are? Are you a do-it-yourselfer and that's how you want to stay? And you can just type in DIY, do it yourself, or is the prospect of semi-managed services, short-term managed services, or long-term managed services a direction that you had been thinking about, but maybe you're just now getting around to making a decision? And you can type in managed, DIY or managed. I'm just curious how, and this is, nobody's going to say your name or tell anybody, oh, Joe Schmo's looking at doing this. I'm just curious to see, for my own knowledge, do you want DIY? Do you want managed? Which direction are you going? And the reason I ask that is we've had some conversations in the Facebook group about people who have specifically said, and see, some of them are saying for a limited time. Somebody's saying, is there a hybrid? Things like that. So and help with DIY. There are some people that are saying help with DIY and things like that. And this is what we've had in the Facebook group, because a lot of people either want to manage it themselves, whether they like doing it, whether they're like me, I tend to be a control freak, but a little bit of pro help to get you, to unscrew a screwed up account, or to get you headed in the right direction, or tell you things that you may not have understood or even known about previously. So it looks like, I'm just scrolling down now, it looks like a lot of people saying short term to get me on the right track, help with do it yourself, managed for a short period of time, managed for fourth quarter, all of these. That's exactly what I was expecting. So
and we have a lot of clients actually that do come to us just for a short time as well. We do have some that have been with us for over a year, definitely. We do have some that come to us and say, hey, I just want your help to get things, in a better order. You kind of bring in the reins a little bit, and then I want to take back over. And that's completely fine, guys, because that is something that we do specialize in, is because really what I do myself and my colleague Brett is we do a full re-strategization of your account, which is where we look at everything, how it's currently standing, and then we build a full new strategy for you that's unique to your account. So this is actually where we spend time to understand your product, understand your category, understand your competitors, understand what you've been doing before, how it's been working, what hasn't been working. We have a call with you to discuss all this in depth. Then we actually build out a strategy, and then we talk about the strategy with you, and then we implement it. And then that's when our team steps in and starts doing the optimization process on that week by week basis. But after that period of time, if it is something where you want to bring it back in house, that's completely fine. Of course, we do want you to stay with us forever just because we like you, but you definitely can just have us help you with some cleanup or prepping for Q4, even just helping out just with Q4 because that is coming up. We actually do have a lot of clients that come to us around that time. And now is the time too, because you want to get in before Q4 starts, because that's when everybody else in the world starts advertising, or they turn their ads back on, or they learn what advertising is. So it gets very, very competitive, and it's very hard to succeed unless you've been running it for like a month or two, or even 3 months beforehand. So you want to have some of that data of what it was before until Q4. But we definitely can help you out to get things started, and you can take back over if you'd like to.
Do you have a ceiling to how many sellers you will help with Q4 prep? I mean, you don't have a massive team. I mean, it's a nice sized team, but Seller Labs is a small business. You don't have 3,000 people in a warehouse somewhere with little cubicles that are all helping with PPC. So
yeah, no, so we don't have a cap right now. I say that now, and I don't think we should ever have a cap, honestly. Our team is growing quite a bit. It used to be just me and a couple other guys, and now it's actually up to 15 people, and like 99% in-house here in Athens, Georgia. So cool. We are all working together all the time, and I think we're still going to grow out our team. If there is more people coming in, we'll build it out even more. We have a lot of experts we're looking at still to add to our team too, and getting them on the same pace as us as well.
Awesome. Okay, guys, what other questions do you have? Do it yourself or managed. Ed's here at your disposal. So if you think of something else quirky in your account that you just can't figure out, if you've been trying to accomplish certain sales level or get your ad costs down and you've tried XYZ and it's not working, what challenges can Ed help you solve? While you've got him right here in front of you, you might as well use him.
And I will say too, guys, if you do want to learn more about Ignite, we do have ongoing Ignite webinars every week where you can actually, it's one of our customer service team members that runs through that. And it's something that it's not as intense as managed services because it is just Ignite, but it is actually where you can see a run through of Ignite and get a better understanding of it before you do decide to try it out. Of course, there is a trial for that too, so you can see how that works for you. And just like I said at the beginning of this, if you try out Ignite and it doesn't work for you, then you can look at managed services, or if you just want to go straight to managed services, that's definitely an option as well.
Now, that brings up something because I'm seeing a note here from a seller who's saying that, I can't tell from the initials if he or she would like to use managed services, but they think that their budget is too small.
Gotcha. I mean, we'll work with it. Like I say this now, like I think it's 1,000 is usually our minimum. 1,000 monthly ad spend is usually our minimum. We'll definitely, that's part of the qualification questions that we kind of look at your account and see if it is a good fit for you, to see if it makes sense, from the stance of spending money on a managed service. We have clients that are just doing the $2,000 to $3,000 a month in ad spend, and we're helping them out tremendously. Of course, with those clients, since there isn't as much spend, we're doing different types of optimizations as to someone who does have $15,000, $20,000 of spend that they're going through on a monthly basis. So we do scale our optimizations based on your actual ad spend. So we know, if you're keeping it really low, we have to do heavier cuts and keep the bids a little lower. So we're not going to be going through your budget that you have for the month or something. But we definitely have smaller clients within that, the $3,000 a month ad spend range.
And something to think about. I mean, if you're doing PPC as a do-it-yourself type of thing and it isn't working and you aren't getting your product listing out there, it might be time to take the leap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can ask lots of people. I am not somebody who is ever going to tell anybody, take your last $3,000 and spend it on anything. You have to have money to spend on groceries and mortgage and gas in your car and shoes for your kids and all that other stuff. So I'm never going to tell anybody that. But just something to think about. If you did have a fully functioning PPC campaign that was actually pulling in results, would it be worth it? And I know that's a risk, especially if you've got a small budget. That's a risk. Yeah, but is it really going to work? Do you have, here comes a question that's going to be right along the line of how long is a piece of string? Do you have, off the top of your head, while I'm putting you on the spot, any stats that you can share about improvements in campaigns from DIYs to semi-managed?
I mean, like we have some case studies we've done that are actually on the website for the fully managed. I don't have any actual metrics, but I can say, like, we have had one client that had tremendous growth. They actually came to us looking for help because they had tried ads before in the past and didn't understand it. More just like the throw it up, run it, and then just leave it. And they weren't getting the traction that they needed. So they actually turned off all their ads. They were like, you know what? I can't do this. I'm not seeing the results I want to. So they kind of threw in the towel. Then they came to us, and now they're actually coming up to be one of our largest clients ad spend wise, but with success. So, like, I think it's like a 15% ACoS. So a tremendous return, doing great revenue wise and profit wise as well, just because they needed someone to help set up their campaigns, to help get them running, to structure them correctly, and to keep that optimization process off their plate. We have a lot of clients that have done a great amount of growth, and that's what I love seeing when someone saw our Central or Ignite. I just see the graph going upwards for their actual revenue that they're getting back from the PPC. It's just because if you think about it, guys, it is just someone who is on your account all the time. Even like, there are people that get to it when they can, and that's understandable, but it's all about the continuity of doing the same types of optimizations over and over and over again. That leads to a stronger account and leads to getting more traffic, because you're finding out where you are getting the best placements and you're actually getting people to look at your product. But if you're not finding that out every week, you're not doubling down again. You're not increasing the chances of getting more and more of that for a particular keyword or that campaign. So that's where that continuity of having someone that's working with your account comes into play. Yeah,
exactly. It's the same thing with anything that changes frequently and has a technical aspect. Facebook ads. I would never in my life dream of managing my own Facebook ads. It changes too fast. There's a technical aspect to it. I am not a techie person at all. So by the time I spend hours and hours and hours trying to figure out what the latest changes are, go through and try to implement those and don't do it right the first 4 times and have to go back and fix it, I might as well have paid a pro. And that's what I do. I just don't even attempt to do things like that myself anymore, because I mess it up. It takes too much time and it doesn't work anyway. So that's just me. Everybody's different. There are people that really just get a charge out of accomplishing something like that. It's not a thrill for me.
It's definitely, everybody on our team, we're all nerds. I see this moment. But we really we'll be like, man, look at this report. This is amazing. Like, these metrics are doing fantastic. And we really get a rise out of it. So we're nerds, and we'll admit to it. I'm positive.
Oh, well, don't get me wrong now. I'm a data geek. You want to come back after you've done all that work and let's sit down and run through spreadsheets and analytic reports? I'm there, babe. I'm sitting right beside you, and I've got that same grin on my face, but I am not going through everything it takes to get to that point. Yeah. That's somebody else's ball game. Cool. All right, let's see if we have any more questions. Is everybody done? We've got, here we go. What is a good ratio of net sales to PPC campaign costs if PPC is the only ad spend?
So this depends on every category. We actually do have some clients that come to us and their tacos or their total advertising cost of sale is 50% or more. And that's just because of the category that they're in. And this is just saying they have to spend more to get the revenue. They have to try harder to get these sales by running ads because the category is way more competitive, or it's way more saturated, so there's more people they have to kind of beat out. It is nice to see, like, a very, very low total advertising cost of sell. This is actually like where you look at how much you're spending on your ads in comparison to your overall revenue. And you want that percentage to be as low as possible, of course, pretty much with every percentage when it comes to advertising. But that is one thing that we monitor with your account. We do look at that when you first come in as a client. We look at what your current total advertising cost of sell is, just to see how much you're having to spend to get some revenue back on it. We keep that in mind going forward, because if we do start to cut back and we're trying to bring down your spend, and we're seeing that your tacos are actually going up, which means you're still having to spend just as much, we may want to re-strategize and see. So long story short, it depends. I hate that as an answer, but it's probably not used. But it is on a case-by-case level, because we could also just come to your account and see there's a lot of wasted ad spend. And just by cutting that out, it could lower your PPC cost tremendously. And maybe missed ad spend or just some that's not really noticed as much. So by cutting that out, you have a much lower cost, and then your revenue could stay the same because you're just doubling down on what was working beforehand.
Cool. Good deal. All right. Anybody else before we wrap this up? We'll do a last call on questions in the chat box. Ed, it's been awesome. I appreciate it. You're a lot of fun to hang out with.
Man, I like talking. And when I talk about PPC, it's even better. So that works out.
You get your inner geek on.
Yeah, exactly.